So we're going to do something different with today's video. After you watch it, I want you to come back and comment with what you think Team X could have done better, or that Team Y should have done, or what you would have done to make this battle turn out differently for whichever team. I want to know your guys' tactics, your plans, your thoughts, because there's a lot of different situations out there that I might not have thought of that they could have done. Ardennes in Conquest is just like any other Conquest map. It's about the outflank. The point only matters so much. You will get it at one point, but if you outflank hard enough, somebody on your team will take it. But what we see here is just as you would expect. Both teams are sending forces to the point, and then they have, their outflankers. Now, what Team 1 does is absolutely beautiful. I want you to watch this because they take from the cap all the way to the G7 corner of the map, and they just fill it in with tanks. Now this leaves Team 2 with an option. They can try to assault that gap, which they have an AMX-13 that tries to, and plays around and finds out. The rest of their tanks hold position after they see him get engaged, and they start clearing out the outflankers. Now Team 2 is sitting there and they're sniping across, and they seem to know the ranges. They don't necessarily support each other too terribly well on the outflank to the south, but they do well enough and they take apart the Team 1's advance. And with that, the fighters in the town kind of struggle because they're engaged, well, the town, the city, whatever you want to call it, the village. They're engaged with Team 1, but they're not getting support from their northern guys who, well, some of the northern tanks and then some of the tanks that are also in the village. There's not a lot of support within each other. Now they do it at some point and they take over the A point. And from here, it should have been kind of an easy go, but they spread out and they don't support each other. And again, we have a heavy tank that is literally doing all the wrong things in the north. He sits in the worst spot you can sit at if you're trying to cut off their advance. There's far better locations he could have sat at, but he gets swarmed and eaten alive. And then from there, the rest of their tanks are spread out, unable to support each other, and just get dismantled by the rest of their force pushing in. Now, aircraft-wise, normally on Conquest, a great way to end your game time is to go to an aircraft, but the aircraft really just kind of kept to themselves, like as far as dog fighting. There were bombs that went out, but it wasn't that the aircraft didn't make a huge change to the battle either way. They were just planes that were getting lost, or players that were getting lost. All in all, it was pretty much an even split, which is kind of odd. Like I said, the biggest thing here is that the Team 2 just spread themselves out too far and got dismantled by Team 1 sticking together and fighting together. And that made a huge difference in the battle. So I'm also going to be adding in some extra information here of ranging and locations in different spots, so that if it's not something that you're used to with some of these maps, that you can get the ranging, and hopefully that'll help you out. Now remember, the further you shoot some of your rounds, especially at the lower BRs, the less effective they are. Obviously, the ones that it doesn't matter to is APFSDS, but at that point you probably have a laser rangefinder or rangefinder, heat FS, heat, high explosive. Yeah. So other than that, remember, your rounds will get less lethal with range. These spots might be advantageous to you if you have a good gun but low armor, if you're fast enough and able to fit into the hole.